live, and we're live. Welcome to the Hello Spiritual Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Amit,
And I'm your other host, Jose.
and today
Happy Friday.
it's Friday, huh?
Happy Friday. Oh, don't start that damn song, bro.
What song? Oh yeah,
Say it.
it's Friday, then it's Saturday, Sunday. What, bro? I used to get you
Um,
so many times with that.
bro, I'm it's like every time I'm like, how the fuck do I fall into this every single time you do it? Like every single time, it just never fails.
I inadvertently conditioned you to not like the word. Hey, it's Friday, huh? Because you'd walk around like no, no.
I kid you not, he would say this for I would say the first few months when you first found that out.
Yeah,
Like every Friday he was saying. And I
because
would just shamefully just walk away, like, all right, I'm going to my room now.
I love the feeling that you get when you make a dad joke and it's just like that level of cringe you imply to someone like that's exactly what it was.
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna be an amazing father one day, okay?
I
Your
know, I
kid
know.
is gonna be just like me, walking away like,
Stop embarrassing me, Dad.
don't embarrass me. You're not cool, Dad. Stop trying to be cool. I kid you not. I think I'm gonna be that cool dad or cool grandfather where I'm like 60, 70 years old, and I'm gonna think like I'm still 30, but I'm like 70.
Yeah, they're gonna be skateboarding. It's like I can do a tray flip.
Back
No,
my
Grandpa,
days.
no.
Back my days, I used to do frontside flips down the stairs.
Bro, you thought you had back problems now? Bruh.
Dude, I've been obviously I've been sick, and that's why we pushed out the podcast. We were supposed to record on Tuesday. So I decided to I felt much better. Obviously, you could tell by my energy, it's a lot better. So I ended up going I was gonna say I'm gonna went skateboarding. I did not go skateboarding today. I went out to go hang out with a few friends, and I went hiking with them because they wanted to go hike near my area. And by the end of the hike, bro, my knee was aching.
You was doing the stanky leg back to the car.
I was not doing a stinking leg, but I thought about it. And I'm realizing, I'm like, man, like my joints are not the way they used to be anymore.
Yeah, yeah. It's like you're at least you taking care of your health with the regimen and the exercise, right? That counteracts some of that. But no, we're
Yeah.
not 16 anymore. Skating
No,
skating for 16 hours,
I need
ditching.
to be taking more vitamins so like my joints feel a little more lubricated because I'm not getting younger. I'm getting older.
Right, right.
So
So, topic.
yes, yes. But I kind of like the way we kind of introduced this episode. It feels a little it's flowing a little better.
Yeah, it was a conversation, right?
Yeah.
I think getting used to the digital sense of this.
Yeah.
It's
Because I can't physically like see you and like be in your presence. So like seeing you through the screen still feels a little different compared to the way we had it on the couch.
yeah, yeah, most definitely. Well, it's good to see you digitally, brother. I'm glad you had like
My
the.
digital brother, love to see you.
I'm glad you got the hike. I saw the pictures. I wanted to go, but Jose got sick, and then I got sick like a day later, so I'm still on the mend right now. So I was like,
funny
I'm just gonna nap. I'm gonna sleep.
the funny thing about when you told me yesterday you were sick, I did not understand your text. You say I'm sick, and then I text something differently. Didn't even understand that you say I'm sick. Then I went back. I'm like, what did he say? And I was like, oh, he say I'm sick. I'm like, I did not get that when I first read it. I don't know why it just like
Yeah,
went over
because
my head.
it's not all about you, Jose. Because I know
I
we're
mean, sick.
seeing, yeah. So like you're like internalizing like, oh, you completely missed it, or you thought like, yeah, he's just saying you're sick. 15 minutes later, like, oh, I hella didn't understand what you said, and I'm half asleep trying to text this, and that's the only thing that I could get by, which is like, I'm sick, right?
Because I think you're like sick, bro, and I'm like, sick what?
So Jose's feeling better. I'm on the
Yes.
mend, and I really just wanted to move forward with the episodes and just get
Yeah.
back on it. I don't want to lose
Yeah.
momentum in this. So
Yeah,
in that,
and
the topic that we're looking into is like learning how to trust the intuition. Given
yeah,
the previous topics that we had talked about, like releasing energy and like what do you do in uncertainty, like the
yeah,
intuition does come in that phase.
yeah, definitely. It's trying to differentiate if it's fear or if it's your intuition trying to talk to you, and and it's hard to differentiate that sometimes because I think a lot of people gets misled about what is intuition, what does it actually means, and how does it feel in the body? I know that's something you and I have been discussing a lot. And if you guys have been listening to our podcast, we talk a lot about being in the body, which is a lot of somatic work.
Hmm.
Because in order for us to move forward and have more fulfilling abundance life, like we need to be in tune with the body. We need to be connected itself, not in the head, but in the body, so we could go inward and outward. So yeah, it feels like all our topics really ties in well with together, and that's something we were talking about right before we talked about creating this episode. Where okay, how can we branch out outside the last few episodes? What can really tie in well with the previous topics? And for some reason, intuition came in. We talked about some other topics, but we're like, we weren't too sure about it, and then we landed on intuition. And obviously, you and I have a lot of experience around that. We talk a lot about it. And so yeah, we landed on intuition, and I actually went through my own notes around my coaching program because there's some modalities around that and some information that I was reviewing and I was like, oh man, I kind of forgot about this part of intuition. So I'm excited to share that with you all. I'm sure Amit is excited as well, even though he's not feeling too well, but we will provide the service that we usually do.
Yeah, most definitely. I'd want to go about it of defining like what does intuition look like, what does that feel like, what usually comes up,
Mhm.
uh how do you differentiate it from fear versus actual intuition or other emotion,
Yeah,
and then learning to trust it would be the modalities that would come into place, right?
yeah, yeah,
So for me, like you've always heard like trust your gut, go with your gut instinct and whatnot, and
yeah,
if you're brought up in a home where that when you express something it wasn't taken at face value, it wasn't accepted,
mm,
that creates like an imprint of I can't trust myself. I can't
yeah,
trust this person. I can't trust.
yeah,
So when they say trust your gut, like there's a level to be learned there. Like
hmm,
usually when something came up for me to like lean towards like what is my gut intuition, it'd be
hmm,
my head responding to whatever my body's putting out, and unbeknownst to me I didn't learn any of the somatic stuff. It would be like a huge knot here or in my upper back, which is where fear and anger are stored,
yeah,
and I would make a decision which would keep me comfortable. The fight or flight hits in that moment, and it keeps you comfortable. And you're not really trusting your intuition. You're trusting the fear and like what's the word I'm looking for? It's adding emphasis that you shouldn't trust yourself each time you do that, right? So you're building up distrust with self.
hmm,
Like that's what came up for me when we first like were talking about the topic,
yeah.
where it started.
Yeah, and honestly, some of the notes that I'm looking at right now, it talks about intuition should feel like curiosity,
Mm.
and if as a kid you didn't you weren't able to explore that curiosity, you weren't able to build that intuition muscle at a young age, so you could trust yourself, right? And so if you have a household where you were patronized or you were like minimized or like just like yelled at or just like just really minimized or your parents didn't trust you or didn't allow you to explore, it created, like you said, like an imprint of I don't know how to trust myself or I don't have this curiosity because I didn't wasn't allowed to explore that. And so inevitably what that happened was you were just like kind of in a way stuck. Because as a kid, the way we develop is by attempting things, is by exploring, by exploring that curiosity. Like letting the kid walk in the backyard, like pick up some stuff and like be curious about it and like explore and like or like when they want to jump off like a step, like you gotta allow them to like learn how to like, oh, let me take one step and like, okay, can I trust myself? Can I trust my intuition that like I'm gonna like take one step and then take the other one? Like just like small little things like that. I wasn't taught that as a kid. Like for me, I feel like my intuition was kind of just like blotted out with like a lot of fear and anxiety and being super dysregulated. And so I always thought this yucky, like tight, charged feeling was my intuition. Like I've always believed, oh, that's my intuition. I should have just listened to it. But honestly, it's not. It's just a ball of fear, and it's not your intuition. You know?
Yeah, most definitely. And I like how you brought up the curiosity. My mic is a little bit loud. Doo-doo. I like how you brought up
Turn
the
it down.
curiosity a little bit because that is true to an extent. Like if you weren't allowed, like if the leash wasn't let go a little bit for you to explore and learn how to trust
Mhm.
yourself,
Yeah,
then how did you didn't develop that, right?
exactly. Yeah.
It's like trying to think about exercising, but you haven't done the whole exercising part, so you have no like tangible reference of like what's going to
Exactly.
happen there.
Yeah.
So then that
Yeah.
integrates a lot more fear, combined with the distrust that's been conditioned into you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do we differentiate like fear or another emotion, or for me it was anger as well, from intuition?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to look at intuition, and these are like some simple things you could like just remember, right? Is it feels natural, it's quick, there's no charge, there's no opinion, it feels like a relief kind of like sense. And like I said a little earlier, is curiosity. It feels open, it's clear. It's not a yucky feeling. Your adrenaline's not going up. You don't feel like you're gonna like pass out because you're just so dysregulated. You know, like you know what would be now that we're talking about it. Now you're gonna be like, oh my god, I've been trusting the fear. I've been trusting the yucky feeling in my body, and that's something we've always talked about. Like the body fucking knows. Like it will tell you something's up. It's just how far of awareness do you have, or how much of an awareness do you have to differentiate what exactly is it, you know? And so if it is fear, that gives you an opportunity to like pause. Like, oh, I'm feeling this yucky feeling in my tummy again. Okay, let me regulate something we talk about a lot, you know, one hand hard, one hand in the belly, connect back to the body. And then I won't go into some of the modalities on connecting with intuition, but we'll get into that. But you know, once you regulate, then you could practice some of the modalities. So you could build that muscle and strengthen that muscle around your intuition. So when things are coming up, it's not fear coming in right away. It's your intuition will intercept a little faster because you have built that muscle that it goes to that first, you know?
Yeah, and I like how you brought it back to the body again. There's you would feel it.
Yeah.
You would feel wherever you're holding the energy. If it's not like calm, calmish, and looking at whatever the thing is objectively, but reactive to whatever emotions coming up, and where it's held in the body, like the stomach, the upper back, right, or maybe in the throat of like this may be fear, right? And if we have operated this way for so long, then it's another reminder to slow down. I was trying to like look up like the phonetic definition of intuition, and
Hmm.
literally all I got from it was into it, like feel into it.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
the intuition comes up when you feel into whatever is coming up. That's like the first thing. Do I trust this?
Hmm.
The first thing that may be coming up if we're not
Hmm.
habituated to do it,
Yeah.
right? Do I trust this first emotion? Because if we're segueing from how we used to operate to like how we want to operate and strengthen those muscles, we have to go into whatever emotion's coming up. And that
Yeah.
goes into the past episodes of like there may be some other conditioning blocks in there that I may to need to utilize some modalities that we're gonna segue into
Hmm.
to learn to trust the self, and or if it's a
Hmm.
deeper thing, go into more like energetic release because we don't want to be
Hmm.
stuck in a loop, right?
Yeah. No, and honestly, like when I'm really connected with my intuition, I feel really expansive. I feel free. I feel clear. There's not a lot of like cloudiness in my vision. I'm more in tune with my body, and that's just from being aware of it and like connecting to it and like pinpointing those references of the somatic awareness around that of like how I know when this feels this way. Oh, I know what that is. It's like building that muscle. Um, and also too, like the other thing I want to point out with intuition, it's when we are connecting more intuition, we're trying to get out of the intellectual aspect out of it. Like we're trying to get out of the head and come to the body and listen to the body and be in tune with that because I feel like we live in a society, and I think a lot of people already know this. Like we live in a society where it's like neck up, like literally neck up, very analytical, very intellectual, very analyzing and thinking and overthinking and just go, 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 go. And so you're cutting off like 80% of your body already by doing that. And so what the intuition allows you to do is come back to the 80 part of your body and have other part be the main driver of making your decisions, of connecting back to self. And honestly, like it's a pretty beautiful place to be at when you aren't connected to intuition because there's not a lot of resistance as well too when you are in your intuition. You're connected with that.
Yes. Like I can also tell you from like experience by strengthening these like intuition muscles, if you will, like it does give a much more calm sense of being, right? Like I feel like I'm more stoic now than I was before, but that's
Yeah.
a lot of it is combined with strengthening these tools, these muscles, these mental things to connect the afferent and efferent pathways so that you can connect the body as a whole. And for me, as you know, as a male, like I want to be able to navigate my emotions and not get reactive to them,
Yeah.
but utilize safe spaces to express what I need to express and keep it pushing. Like
Hmm.
that is the best recipe I found to get to this point so far. And like
Hmm.
this is just another one of the tools that I do end up utilizing,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Is remembering that there is more than just the head. The head is,
Yeah.
if we're gonna take a snippet from one of the past episodes, the head, you have an old brain and new brain. New brain is gonna create a bunch of thoughts, usually around 70,000 a day, and most of them don't matter. And what that does, it creates those. It hits the old brain, and it just causes these nervous shocks of like, oh, I have like 35 things to do on this thing this day, then I got to do this, I got to do that. What is that sending to your body? And if you're just trying to think it out, it's not going to work. You got to just take it out, right? And
Yeah.
animals do this without even thinking. Like they'll one of the people that I watch on YouTube and Instagram, like he was doing a live event, and he was talking about, you ever see these Canadian geese? They're about to fight,
Yeah.
and
They're like,
like right after, like they'll go squabble a little bit, but then after that, there's still some energetic charge in them. And they'll just like
yeah.
flap their wings
Yeah.
and let's letting it out. Let's letting it go so you can move
Yeah.
past it and move forward.
Yeah. They're moving that charged energy out of the body.
Yeah. So it is connected. The is learning to understand that mental health is also body health.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't even call it mental health anymore. I just call it just spiritual health, man, because I think the word mental health is like, oh, there's something wrong with your mental, like there's something wrong with your head. But I don't completely agree with that. I do believe that since we're so disconnected from the body and in tune with us, it causes a lot of uh diagnosis, a lot of mental health issues. It causes a lot of issues for us when we're not connected with the body. It creates a lot of diseases from it as well too. And it's been proven for other years like that causes a lot of wreckage. And so it's if we just connect to the spiritual realm, like the human body in general, like this is the whole body is the health. The spiritual self is the health, and we get all that connected. It's just beautiful. It flows.
I like how you brought that up. I appreciate you voicing that. It's a good way to look at uh, health in general, like body health, mental health,
Yeah,
spiritual health.
emotional health or emotional as well too. Because they just focus on the mental aspect, and it's like that's why a lot of coaches get like bad rap because of like the uh the growth mindset, the mindset kind of work. Like shift your mindset, and you'll get this. And it's like, oh yes, I agree with that, but we need to connect with the body first, and then shift that narrative, shift that mindset, go from learning. I mean, from surviving to learning, from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. And that's something we could probably talk about another day. Where there's that's actually might be a pretty good topic. We could he's
Writing
like
it down.
John that could be a really good topic because that's a really good one. But yeah, I think when the body and the emotional and the spiritual and the mental is all connected, like it's like a full circle, you know. It's like when you cut a pie, like you got that piece, the piece is missing, right? And if we have a whole one, we feel better. But as humans, we know it's not always gonna be perfect, and it's not always gonna be a perfect circle. Sometimes it's gonna be like weird shit because sometimes we don't want to do certain things, that connects us all together back to the same parts. I don't know where I'm going with this.
It's
So
funny. It's funny when you're doing like like the circle thing because the light I have in front of me is a circle, which you're inside of it, so you're literally outlining the circle light.
the circle of life.
The circle of life.
Okay, that's the best movie ever, hands down.
Hakuna Matata.
Find me.
So,
Oh,
swinging into modalities. So we
yeah.
talked about like the things that may come up that may detach us from the actual intuition. We talked about
Mhm,
like it's a strength. We have to strengthen that muscle, that connection to that,
mhm.
and the blocks that may come with it. So let's talk
Yeah.
about the modalities that could help in these transitions.
Yeah. This is one of your favorite ones, and I don't do it too often, but it's a really good one.
Often, often, girl, I
Often,
do the sauce.
it's Johnson. It's and this is actually a really good one. It's keep an intuition journal to track your intuition. So when you are tapping into intuition, like jot it down. It's interesting one, huh?
Well, because like you're saying that I do it a lot, and I was like, do I?
No, you journal a lot, but not with like keeping track of your intuition.
No, yeah, it's I used it as a tool to just get everything out, and
Hmm.
then I can objectively look at it. But rarely do I go back and review those moments because I've already made a
Yeah.
decision just by
Yeah.
laying it out.
So let's say you're practicing this. There's another one. I'll kind of tie those two together where I want to make a decision and I want to trust my intuition. I want to tap into my intuition. What I'll have a person do is, or if I'm doing it myself, I'll have two pieces of papers. And let's say the decision is I either want to go to Mexico or I want to go to Puerto Rico, one of those two places, and I'm like torn. I'm like, I know both of the places are beautiful. They provide their own element, and I'm gonna get good photos, and I'm just torn. I don't know where to go. So I get those two pieces of paper. I put Mexico and Puerto Rico, and then I put them on the floor, and then I'll step over the Mexico one and see how that feels in my body, back to the body. Then I'll step away, and then I'll step into the Puerto Rico one and see
Are
how that feels in the body.
you talking about the writing is face up or face down?
It doesn't matter.
Okay,
As long as the piece of paper has Mexico and Puerto Rico on it.
and that you know which one's which.
You know which one's this. Yeah.
Because
And so you
I
step.
tried this, but I mixed the papers up, and I was like, which one do I feel? And I had them upside down.
Yeah, you need to know which one it is so you know your body knows which one is touching, right? So what you're doing, you're like tapping into the body. So your body would tell you which one to lean into. You'll feel like this feeling in your body like, oh, okay, I'm feeling it. And you gotta trust that. Okay. So now that we did that practice, journal that in your thing. So now you have a point of reference. So all you do is just tracking your intuition, and so you're logging in like how often you're tapping into it. So that's just a really good way to really tap into it, and it's really simple. It doesn't take much. I know a lot of people don't keep pieces of papers laying around, but it's been really useful for myself. Do you, Amit?
No, as you're saying this, my brain instantly went to like, what are other ways? It was like, get two iPads, and I was like, step on the iPads.
I know. I was actually thinking about like doing your phone. I was like, I don't want to
No,
step on my phone.
we're not responsible for any broken screens. You just use traditional old paper and do that. Um, there was like another derivative of this. If I didn't have paper, maybe there was a coin or something that had two sides.
Yeah.
Because when you flip when you flip it, before you even see what the thing is, you've already leaned to one. This is faster. It's way
Hmm.
faster. So
Yeah.
I think that the one that you're expressing is thinking slower, which helps. And
Yeah.
to like start thinking about it intentionally.
Hmm.
And then the one with the coin is like while it's midair, you've already leaned to one decision, right? After being regrounded or as grounded as can be, and before you even look at it,
Hmm.
your throat is already going to be expressing, wanting to
Yeah.
express what the decision was.
Hmm. Yeah.
So that like I kind of combined those with the two papers upside down, wrong way, side up. That was just full Russian roulette, send it type of energy. It worked out anyways. I forgot what decision it was, but yeah.
Yeah, anything like even just asking your intuition a question. Like, what do I want to have for dinner today? Do I want to have this? Want to have that? So you're asking intuition a question, and so you're practicing it. Um, so that could be another one. And another one that's pretty easy is just to pay attention to the external signs around you. Like be conscious, be aware of what's around you, you know. All it is just I think for me, if I could like wrap it all together, it's just being like aware and being conscious and be intentional with what you're doing and really questioning things as you go, right? And I think that's something you and I've always discussed around like question something. Like something comes up for you, question it. Like, is that really real? Does that really make sense to me? Is that really aligned with me? You know? And so what you're doing there, you're trying to rewrite that story as well too, if it's not yours.
Yes. Like questioning these things that do come up, because especially if they're old narratives and they're conditioned into us, it is our job to
Yeah.
look into that. Right? It's no one else's. How we respond emotionally, it is up to us to do with what that information is.
Yeah.
So when looking at it in this intuition type of mentality, I kind of got into the framework of talk about manifesting with
Mhm.
visualization and whatnot. And like for me, I was just thinking back a few key moments in the last week where I'm doing something and the thought comes of like, do I continue doing this or do I move to the next thing? And then I play out the tape of like, if I continue doing this, I'm like, what would happen? And like my brain just goes in a daydream. But
Mhm.
usually when I'm in that process, like those things end up coming true. Like I'm thinking about this person. This person hits me up. I'm
Mhm.
thinking about like this song, and the song comes up or something like that. Like it's
Mhm.
really weird when the energy shifts. You
Mhm.
attract that. So like
Mhm.
this, if you want to go deeper, like into that,
Yeah.
like these help with all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and also too is like I mean, I already said a little earlier, just being intentional and like questioning things and just being really conscious of like what's actually going on in your internal world. Like that's all it is, just coming back to your internal world. And another little practice you could probably do, and it's pretty easy, is just like do like a little creative endeavor, like do something creative. And when if I'm saying all these things, because I already said curiosity, I said creative endeavors. And actually my notes talks about is doing like non-dominant handwriting, which is inner child work.
Inner child. I was gonna say that.
Because curiosity comes from inner child. It's childlike play, curiosity.
So if we were to pause with this thought really quick,
Mm.
if we did not get the trust for individual independentness, like to venture off on our own, that inner child learned that like it's not safe to be alone. So we can end up
Exactly.
utilizing in the present, the reparenting part is asking those small things like building that connection, doing the inner
Mm.
child work, and learning to trust that side.
Yeah.
Because like I'm gonna mess it up. Like this Walt Disney quote of like kids grow up or something, and like just don't lose your inner child, don't lose the child in you or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's true because I was like, I don't want to just be another monotone person at work or whatnot, just doing that. Like I want to live a very I don't know, like very
Full life.
deep life, beautiful life
Yeah.
with like things
Yeah.
that I enjoy, things that excite me. And that's taking the inner child with you. Because
Mhm.
if I looked at everyone as if they were like five,
Mhm.
it's a decent age. Because you kind of know some things, but you don't know everything.
Yeah. What do you mean, man? I knew everything at 5 years old, bro. Look at this. Look what I know.
So viewing everyone as that, it allows me to see how in touch they may be with their inner child. But like if I do actually see children, they're like very expressive, very curious and whatnot. I'm like, I
Exactly.
remember being a kid and like you make games out of like the most simple stuff.
Yeah.
It makes life much more vivid,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I like how you said connecting to the creative side, like you said, non-dominant handwriting.
Yeah.
Another thing is like the coloring, or for me, it's like
Yes.
our video games, or like
Photography.
building
Yeah.
that rapport rapport with the little one inside of like it's okay to trust me, because what's going to happen with that and doing, if there's any other deeper traumas, it's going to make the connection from mind to body much easier without those spikes in those fear and that anger that comes up when you're trying to learn about your intuition and learn about like what to do in a certain situation,
Yeah.
right? So I just wanted to hit on that really quick because I think
Hmm.
that's pivotal to
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. And that's why inner child work is so critical when it comes to trusting yourself and learning how to connect with the self. Because if you are a person that's experienced a lot of trauma as a child, it's hard to do that. It's hard to even trust your own body and be in tune with your body, or trust other people, or in that case, trust your intuition, right? Because that was I wouldn't say blocked out, but in a sense was blocked out because it wasn't allowed to be expressed. You weren't allowed to be curious. You weren't allowed to explore and connect with that part of yourself. I had to grow up at a really young age, like really young age. I was surviving at a young age. I wasn't thriving. I was surviving, and so I had a lot of anger, a lot of resentment towards my biological mother for all the shit that I went through. But inevitably, that wasn't helping me out either, right? So as I gotten older and I try to do my best to work on these things, it allowed to build a more of a foundation where there is trust. There's a little more curiosity. There's more little creativity, more playfulness, more abundance, more clarity, more direction. And I mean, there's more things that come to it, but that's what comes to mind. So it's never too late to do this stuff. If your life was shit, it doesn't have to be shit anymore. You don't have to survive anymore. We could be fucking thriving.
Yes. Um, One of the other things that come up with it is, yes, the modalities to like trust self, but for me, coming up with integrity, self integrity, trusting the self to follow through with something that I put out. Like case in point for me is I didn't follow through with a lot of things in my
Mhm.
past. And so when ideas came, immediately I just like just just like I'm not gonna do it. Why am I gonna put energy towards it? But doing some modalities of getting more in touch of like, how bad do you really want to do this thing?
Yeah.
And then going with that drive and then setting out a game plan to go do it and then starting to knock out these steps and express where I'm going on, what's going on to, the men's group or whatnot. It strengthens that self-trust of like, I trust myself to be integral about what I'm gonna do, especially if I'm like talking with clients or whatnot. If I make a commitment, I will about 90% hit that commitment, and the other 10% is me auditing that because something messed up, and I'm gonna be honest about it because it's redoubling back the integrity.
Yeah.
Though that has definitely helped me in the last few years of getting things done, right?
Yeah.
And this, you can add a little bit of discipline in there as well, because that's something I didn't, I don't know if I got that when I was younger, but like not in a way that was productive. But I can
Mhm.
do that now, right? Like
Yeah.
delayed gratification, discipline, self integrity, to connect with the inner child, to be like, all right, let's go handle like 2 hours of editing this video because we need to get it out by this date for this client. That means we do 2 hours this day, 2 hours this day, and we could do like an hour of video gaming after that on each day. So then it builds self trust, and then I'm also happy of like I get to do this thing. I get to drive my car in virtual reality because it's not
Mhm.
currently driving right now.
That's a different story.
What other modalities come to mind?
Mort- Mortalities. Oh, it sounds like some Mortal Kombat shit.
Mortal Kombat. Finish him.
Finish him.
Round two.
Round two. I swear, our brains are just like full of like snippets of like movies and like cartoons and like video games. in like
I th-
songs.
I think our dialogue is literally because we've done work for the inner childs individually, that it's literally I could see the inner child in you and we could just like riff off of
Be
that.
playful. Yeah.
But I notice when I don't have like another person to like verbalize this stuff with, it's just in my head. And I'm like, there's a few select people that I was like, yo, when I meet them, I was like, I'm a really uh vividly seeing the world in a different perspective type of person. And I'm gonna say some random stuff. Is I'm not crazy. If I just don't say it.
Dude, it was it's funny you said it because the previous girl that I was dating, I would do that. And she just like smiled at me and just like she's like, "Oh God." I was like, "I'm just letting you know that's just how I am. My brain just full of that." And I'll just like start singing a song because we're talking about something. It reminds me of a song or like a movie or like or part of a like a cartoon or something. Um, you're just full of those. I'm like, that's just how my brain works. It's fun. It's just how I express a goofy side of myself.
Yeah, it's, someone also said that to me, and I expressed to them like this is gonna come out,
Yeah.
but I have they're fairly new in my life, so like
You've been warned.
they're fairly new in my life, so like I'm a little more reserved. So like it'd be a middle conversation, I'll just start laughing, and then there would be, tell me the story, tell me what it is. Just tell me. It's just every time it's something different, and it's hilarious, and it's unique, and like it's I'd rather have that naturally like free flowing,
Yeah.
because what I realize is if I don't get to do that, when it comes time for me to buckle down and just like get focused, that voice is going to be fucking way louder.
Yeah.
Versus if I had that expression out, like when I spend time like with the guys, skateboarding or like playing video games, I can focus much better on my work after that because the inner child's getting fed. There's
Yes.
no internal
Distractions.
distraction or internal tantrum of like, but wait, what about me? You
Yeah.
should do this. You
Mhm.
should distract. You should go scroll here. You should go do that. It's balance, is what I
Yeah.
see.
Mhm.
So, was that all the modalities that we had talked about? I talked about self
Um,
integrity.
yeah, I think we tapped into a lot of different things. Like we talked about, question your intuition, asking any questions. Doing non-dominant handwriting, doing the two pieces of paper, doing creative endeavors. Um, what was the other ones we talked about? Paying attention to external signs, journaling some things. Um, yeah, I think think we said a lot.
Okay.
and and just remember, people, intuition is just a muscle. Like it takes time to build that muscle. And only because I did it once doesn't mean that that muscle is gonna be like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like super strong or anything like that. It's just
Right.
not. I don't know why Arnold Schwarzenegger just came to mind.
I'll be back.
I just imagine me back. Perfect example. We just came up with one right now.
Super ascended energy, bro.
Yeah. So, if you are on the live call and you didn't get a chance to like actually like write things down, like go back and rewatch the video and like take some notes on some of the modalities that do fit with you, that feel more aligned with you, that you feel a little more towards, you pull more towards to, that feels a little more comfortable to do. Because I named a lot of these different ones, and like I don't do all of them. I do the ones that feel a little more comfortable to me and that just come easy, you know.
Yeah, same here. We can express all these things, and you could take 1 to 3 or whatever, how many that you feel comfortable to end up integrating to yourself,
Yeah.
right? And start slow. It's like
Start somewhere.
anything that is changing a habit, because that's
Hmm.
how the end of all this is. It's a habit.
Hmm.
I'm breaking a hat. Yeah, Lincoln Park.
Bro, okay, I was hanging out with Lauren on Saturday, I know on Monday, and I put on Linkin Park. I don't know why. And she's like, "Yeah, I was never really a big fan of Linkin Park. I always listen to other bands." Bro, I tell you why. We were listening to all their songs. She was singing every single one of them, and she was like, "It's like it's so weird. How the hell do I know all the fucking songs when I said I didn't even really listen to it?" I was like, "Maybe you did listen to them a lot. You just forgot." She's like, "Maybe I did because." Bro, she was singing all the freaking lyrics. It was hilarious.
New memory unlocked. So Breaking a habit. Jose.
Dude, I like smacked it. Just
So breaking a habit, statistically, it takes like what 7 times to do something to create a new habit, but it takes roughly what 21 times to stop doing a habit. So being mindful that it is a learning curve, just like exercising, like it's not gonna happen overnight, but taking that moment to think slow, not think fast, because thinking fast in those moments, like hard to explain that really quick. If I ask you what 2 plus 2 is, you know what 4, right? That's thinking fast. Your brain already knows. It's stored. Doesn't have to put too much energy into it. If I ask you what's 12 times 12 divided by 144 and all that stuff, it has to do extra things and it slows down. Like, okay, put the 2 to the 1 to this, right?
yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. You can do the same thing with the body. And what this means is do that self check. Because if you're wanting to lean and trust intuition more, trust yourself more,
Mhm.
the first step is seeing what's going on in the body, like we expressed. And that means slowing down that moment. And I expressed it in a couple episodes before of like, if you need to say, like, give me a moment. Because I know, like, someone said, having people pleasing tendencies,
Yeah.
usually there's little to no space. Make fucking space. You can do that. It is, if you're someone's asking your choice in something, you can make space, right? And when you do that, you allow the space for the inner child to come forward. You allow the body to express what else is coming up, and you can look at that objectively and start doing one of these modalities. And I think the easiest one is like start with small things, right? Because if I'm engaging with another person and I hadn't known this, um, this type of methodology, it's a lot of expectation from the other person and energy and whatnot, and that gets me scared or got me scared of like, oh, I should just people please. I think doing small things with self of like, all right, I'm gonna make a decision. What do I want to eat today?
Mhm.
Let's say
Yeah.
someone like
Simple.
one of our friends, he's trying to better his health, diet. First thing, he's like, am I gonna get fast food, or am I gonna take the little extra effort to learn how to cook a meal that I know what's going into it? Oh, first thing that comes up is fear of losing the first thing that comes to mind, and acknowledging that that's not the healthiest choice for this person, and knowing inside, like acknowledging the fear, knowing that the gut is expressing like you know what to do. Just throw on some Linkin Park and go go to the grocery store.
Just break the habit, bro. Just break it.
Just break the habit. And by doing that enough times, do small things, especially with self, it ends up going outward to where you are communicating with other people. You have built this rapport with yourself. You built this energy, like that you can trust yourself and you can trust your decisions to then create the space much more quicker
Mhm.
and access that thought that comes up. You end up like for me, it's playing the tape out really quick. Now it's playing the tape out really quick. Okay, what's coming up for me? Why is that coming up? And then redouble and play out back the tapes again after I've expressed what's coming up, and then go with that decision. Usually integrating some part of like, okay, what's logical here, but what is my first gut reaction? And having a balance of those logic and gut reaction. To me, that's like a very strategic risk, I guess, a strategic trusting the gut because I incorporate the logic in it. And that came about by making smaller decisions, expressing I need space with other people, creating the space to then express myself because I am worthy of that and I would like to be treated respectfully as a human,
Yeah.
and going about that and doing that over and over again until that habit is formed.
No, I appreciate your breakdown, and I honestly I do very differently than you. I don't.
Share it, share it.
No, yeah, no. You do more. You're more analytical than I am. So you like literally break things down to like. I honestly I don't go that far.
You hit
uh
flow state, it just
like
comes out.
yeah like for me is like I've already kind of expressed some of the ways I go about it is something comes up, I slow things down, I'll sit down, I do some little breath work, I feel until I feel a little more regulated to the body. And then when I feel a little more connected with the body, I'm like, okay, now I could access the situation with more of a more clarity, more grounded presence. And once I'm in that place already, I've kind of already know the decision. Like I don't need to like overthink it anymore because when I'm grounded in my body, I've already the decision's already been made for me already. I don't need to overthink it. I don't need to analyze it anymore because I'm already like in the body. I'm like, oh, okay. Whew. All right. Obviously, because I think, I don't think when I'm faced with something and I react to it, that already tells me something's already coming up, like right off the bat. So when I ground myself, I can already feel, okay, what direction I'm going to go into. And so that's already like, because that's just a practice that I've been able to build. That's the muscle that I've been able to build as well, where it comes a little easier for me. Not with every situation. I'm not saying that I'm a fucking Zen guru or anything like that. Like there's times where I'm like in it a little longer than usual, and that's where I have to give myself some compassion and some grace. That like sometimes it takes me a little longer. I would say recently it's been a lot easier for me to tap into it, just because not a lot of heavy stuff are going on in my life and things are flowing pretty darn good. And so if something does come up, it's not super charged because I haven't been focusing too much on a lot of emotional work. So I have a lot more capacity, more energy to take things in, and I have my capacity, my will and tolerance a lot wider than it was before. And but that's just from just embodying and practicing and like really expanding my tolerance where it's not as heavy as it was before. So yeah, that's kind of like my little insights of it. It's just I kind of already know what it is once I ground to my body. The decision's already been made. Like I don't need to overthink it. I don't need to analyze it. If there is some more energy still there, I'll probably regulate myself again. I practice some more modalities, probably shake it out or like, you know, poke my body a few times or go for a run or go for a walk or connect with nature or something that just that allows me to feel more grounded that I could come out of it with more clarity of like what I need to make. Not to make what decision I need to make in the situation. Um, but but yeah, I think that's my little a little insight in that. Um, yeah, everyone's a little different. I think at the end of the day, it's whatever works for you. And I think that's why Amit and I dynamic works really well because we do things very differently, but we do things with the same intention and same motives. And
Yeah,
it's to
most
come back to
definitely.
self, you know?
It's yeah, no, I appreciate you voicing it from your own process because the key aspects of there, which I do also integrate, but I sped by it, is the regrounding part. Right, something comes up, you already know to come towards this thing, whatever it is, and reground before you trust the thing going on the other side of it,
Yeah.
depending on the charge or the whatever's behind it or whatever's underlying. But
Hmm.
after you've done that so many times, you've purged all these old energies. It's very direct.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the same process of like play the tape out, feel anything come up, okay, go play the tape out again. What feels a little bit better, and then
Hmm.
integrate the logic into there, and then make an informed decision.
Hmm.
Right? That's the way that I process it, and I respect the way that you do it because the intention is the same. You're learning to
Yeah.
trust yourself.
Yeah. That's all it is, you
Yeah.
know? So, all right. Man, that's, I don't want some coffee now. I don't know why since you got a little, you got your mug out. I'm like, oh, coffee.
This is what is this? It's triple ginger, and then I bought some honey and manuka honey lemon ginger.
I don't even know what the hell that is.
So it's like three gingers, some honey, and some lemon.
No gingers, bro.
That's the first inside joke we've done on this platform.
No one will ever know.
Moving on. So if you uh, are watching this video and are struggling with this or are just even trialing these and like thinking a little bit slower or whatnot, or even just want to comment about it, we're always open to having conversations. We've had like a lot since we started doing the YouTube
Yeah.
platform, which is really exciting.
Yes.
You could hit us up on Instagram at Hella Spiritual Podcast, Jose at Jose aka Che, myself at ASG240, and just have a conversation. Because the
Yeah.
point of all this is to expand our communities. Like, we've gotten a lot of feedback of what we say helps a lot of people,
Yeah.
and like to me, it's running back. We've been doing this 2 years.
Dude, yes, that's insane. I was just listening to an episode that we freaking made like a year ago, and it's around like um keeping your heart open. I didn't even know it was a year ago, bro. I thought it was like a few months ago. I was like, holy crap, it was a year ago. It's insane how fast time goes.
Time is a construct in the COVID years.
Bro, it's all a blur. Because we started in 2020.
Yeah, because like, but we were told to do this a year prior, and we're like, nah,
Yeah, yeah. It
right?
was
And
one of
then a
my
year
ex.
later, we're like, yeah, you want to make a podcast?
Yeah, dude, I don't remember what specific day it was, but I was at work and I was just jotting some, I don't know, just jotting some stuff in my notebook. And I jotted down like the hell of spiritual podcast. I was like, bro, what do you feel? How do you feel about this thing? He's like, let's run it.
Send it. Let's
Let's
send
send
it.
it.
Yeah.
And here
So
we are.
the evolution of the podcast over these last 2 years and communicating with a lot of people, like it's been very fun and also insightful connecting with the our viewers, connecting with people that support us. We definitely appreciate it. Um, we're building a community.
Yeah.
That's the underlying part of it, right? Me, the purpose is I want to help others to achieve the level of presence I have in my own life because it's very fulfilling being mostly over all these things that have gone on in my life to just be here. And I'm seeing a lot of my close friends groups like come into awakening, and it's such a beautiful sight to witness of like my brethren and my sisters can join me.
Mhm.
And just even from that, by putting that light out in on Spotify, that's where we started, and
That's
getting
right.
feedback from that, we're like, okay, maybe this is a thing. Like we're
We
people
got something going on.
in Germany or like different continents were listening to us. We're like, this is scary,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we'll continue.
Yeah, if and also too, if we like we always say this every time. We appreciate the love and support. It means a lot. If you could like the video, if you're not subscribed, subscribe to it. Put some comments down, or if you guys want to share it with a friend, pass it down, minute it forward, or if you just want to share it on your Instagram or Facebook, it goes a long way. Whatever you decide to do, it goes a long way. If you don't decide to do any of that, the fact that you're here, it still matters. So thank you so much for taking the time on a Friday night to hear us talk about some shit.
Yes, most definitely. Like send it forward.
Yes,
That,
send it
that
forward. That's
send it
right. Hashtag send it forward.
hashtag send it forward to someone. If you got something out of this, or you feel like someone else would get something out of this, send it forward to that next person.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be creating more short format videos. Same thing. It's gonna be based off of these episodes. Send it forward. It helps the platform grow. It helps gives us feedback. It helps us isolate on topics that you would like to hear. Also, send us messages on Instagram, Hello Spiritual Podcast, Jose AKHA, or myself at ASG240. We love it.
Yeah.
We love you.
We love you all.
So until the next time,
Yeah. We'll see you next time.
peace.
Everyone, have a great weekend and be safe. Be safe.
Peace.
He's still recording.